Welcome to another edition of the RF Video Shoot Interview Series. Today we are joined by a true legend in the sport of professional wrestling, Superfly Jimmy Snuka. You've been everywhere from the World Wrestling Federation, NWA, Georgia, Mid-Atlantic, Portland, Oregon, Japan, New Japan, I believe All Japan as well for Baba. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much. As you know, the Superfly from the Fiji Islands, where the purest water comes from.
I guess my first question would be, how did you get started in the wrestling business?
Well, first, brother, I started off, as a bodybuilder. And after my last contests, then that's how I got into it.
Were you a fan of wrestling before you watched it, or?
I was a great fan of all kind of things, especially wrestling. That was my most important thing to do.
Right. Where did you grow up at? Where are you from?
I was born in the Fiji Islands. Then I was raised up in all around the Micronesian Islands, like the Gilbert Islands, the Marshall Islands, Ponape and Guam, and ended up in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Honolulu, Hawaii. When you got into the business around, what year was it, 1969, I believe?
Yes.
Who are some of the early guys that helped you get into the business? Like, who trained you?
There was a guy named from up in Canada. His name was Frankie Lane. Cowboy Frankie Lane.
That's from the Stu Hart territory, or is that separate?
I think that was separate.
That was separate.
I met him in Hawaii, and that's how it first started.
What was the training like when you first got into the business? Like, what were some of the things they made you do?
Learning how to take bumps, and learning how to, get holds like headlock, and stuff like that.
What were some of the early territories that you first got into when you first came into the business? What were some of the first promotions that you worked for?
First was Portland, Oregon. And from Portland, Oregon, I went up to Vancouver, BC, British Columbia. Went to San Francisco. From San Francisco back to Portland. And Portland, I went to Dallas, Texas. Wrestled down there for a while, and then came back to Portland again. Then I ended up in North Carolina. And from North Carolina, I was up there in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and all that.
For Vern?
Vern Gagne. And then from there, went back to Hawaii, wrestled in Hawaii a little bit, and I came back to North Carolina. And from North Carolina, I ended up in New York City, the Big Apple.
What are your memories of working the Portland territory and Don Owens? What are your memories of Don Owens?
It was great. It was a great territory to wrestle at, beautiful country and everything.
Was Don Owens a pretty good promoter?
Yes, he was.
What are your memories of your series of matches with Rip Oliver, or I believe Ripper Owens?
Ripper Owens?
Yes.
It was very good, very good. I enjoyed working with mostly all these guys.
Right. Memories of working with Jesse Ventura, because he was there at the time.
Oh yes, he was great. He was a good man to wrestle with.
Was the travel pretty hard back then?
No, everything was close by. At the time we didn't have to fly much. We used to drive a lot, so we get to see the whole country and get to meet a lot of people, which is great.
Now, I believe Roddy Piper was working Portland at the same time you were there.
He came a little later. I left when he came in.
Okay. What are your memories of teaming with Dutch Savage?
It was great. It was very great. I enjoyed a lot of good times with him and had a lot of fun.
You also, I believe, worked with veterans like Carl von Steiger and Carl Krupp.
Oh, yes.
What were those guys like?
They were great people, brother. It was nice. It was a good old school, and you learned a lot from them.
Were any of the veterans try to stiff you or anything like that to try to teach you the business?
You learn a lot of things, up and downs and stuff, but it all worked out to be the best.
Right. Memories of working with Playboy Buddy Rose in the Portland territory.
It was great. It was fantastic. I had a lot of fun with them them guys, brother.
What was he like outside the ring?
He was a good human being. He's a lot of fun.
Memories of working with the Iron Sheik.
Oh, great. He was a fantastic guy. Super guy to work with and a very nice-hearted man, you know. He's a wonderful guy to be around with.
What was he like outside the ring? Was he pretty funny?
Oh, yes. Always making you laugh all the time, you know, and it's fantastic.
Right, right. Now, did other promoters try to steal you away from Portland? Because I think you were with Portland for about 5 years.
Probably around 8 years, somewhere around there. But, yeah, you know, Don Owens didn't really want me to leave, but, you know, I had to move on and take the next step, you know.
Right. Now, what led you leaving and going to the Mid-Atlantic region? It was basically that time?
Yeah, yes.
What was Jim Crockett like?
Oh, he was great. I had a lot of fun with them brothers. Yeah, it was a good territory to, you know, to wrestle around and stuff.
Now, I think when you first came in, you worked with Buzz Sawyer and Matt Bourne.
Right.
Do you have any good stories on those guys?
Oh, yeah, them guys were terrific, you know. I mean, we were all young at the time, you know, and had a lot of fun, and it was great. It was great territory.
As far as Buzz Sawyer, what was he like outside the ring? We've heard a lot of stories about Buzz and his demons and stuff.
I don't know. I got along good with him. You know, I always have fun with everybody and, you know, share couches with each other.
Right.
It was great.
What was the locker room like at the time?
Everything was a little uptight at the time, you know, but it's a lot different than what it is today. You know, them days we were a little bit more serious and, you know, more careful about our wrestling and stuff and how we presented it. But it was great. It was a lot of good experience.
Right. Who did you travel with at you know, back in those days?
Most of the time, you know, usually you like to travel by yourself, you know. I usually like to travel by myself because this way when you want to stop, you stop, and if you don't want, you just keep going. But, you know, I love that.
Right.
Yeah.
Memories of working with the sheep herders.
Oh,
Butch and Luke.
Butch and Luke, they were great. They're from down under, you know, and you know, it's always nice to be close to your neighbors and stuff. But they were fantastic guys, and they still are.
Did you travel with those guys at all, or just?
Yeah, once in a while we'll go together. All we do is just laugh, you
Right.
know, and talk about our countries and stuff.
Memories of working with Ricky Steamboat.
Oh, he was fantastic. He was a good guy.
You guys.
Nice guy to team up with, you know, and of course I worked against him and stuff, and it was very nice, brother. I really enjoyed that.
I believe you had a series of matches with Ric Flair back in the Mid-Atlantic era.
Oh, yes.
With the U.S. title
You
being at
bet.
stake.
You bet.
What are your memories of some of those matches? Because they were great.
It was very stiff, you know, hard, and to me it was, that's the way it should be, you know. I mean, don't complain about things, you know. I mean, get in there and do your job and do it right. That's what it's all about.
You also teamed with Ric Flair too.
Yes.
What was that experience like, teaming with Ric?
It was great, you know. There was no hard feelings about anything. Everything was wide open, you know, and I like that. And that's the way it should always be.
Memories of teaming with Paul Orndorff.
Paul, he was another great guy. He just came out of playing football, I guess, for Miami, somewhere down there in Miami. Can't really remember.
I don't remember either.
Okay, so yeah, he just came in. When he came in there, we was in the Carolinas, and then he started to come in and start, you know, learning how to wrestle. And of course, he ended up with me, which was great. You know, he was a super guy, you know, and great talent, and he learned very quick.
Right. So he was pretty green at the time, and you guys were pretty responsible for training him.
Right.
How political was the decision to put the NWA World Tag Titles on you?
Brother, it was great. It was great because we were looking forward to, you know, something new each day, you know, and finally when we knew that this was going to come up, boy, we were really thrilled about it.
Right. Did you have to travel to other territories to defend the tag titles at all?
Yes, we did, you know, mostly all over.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you remember for what promotions? Or?
I think it's just like these different promoters up in Canada, you know, and all around, you know, the Carolinas and all that.
Harley Race, what was he like at the time? Because he was in the same territory.
Yeah, he was a great guy, you know.
Easy to work with?
Oh, yes. Very easy.
Blackjack Mulligan?
Oh, yeah. Them guys, they're all fantastic.
Waha McDaniel?
Yes.
Now, what was Dusty Rhodes like? Because he was in the territory. Did he ever come through as a champion when you were there?
Let me see. Yeah, I believe he did. I believe he did.
Now, they did an angle, I believe it was you and Greg Valentine. You guys all attacked Ric Flair, I believe, in the ring. He broke his nose or something like that. And with Gene Anderson.
Oh, yes.
What are your memories of that?
I think it was great, you know. It was fantastic with me because at the time, you know, I was babyface and then I became a bad guy, which I loved the most. And it was fun, you know, breaking Ric Flair's nose, you know. It was a lot of fun.
What are your memories of working with Greg Valentine? Because you also worked against him as well at that time.
He's fantastic. They're all great people to work with. And, you know, like I said, you know, it's always nice because everybody gets along with each other.
Ray Stevens, what was he like outside the ring?
He was fantastic. He was a ring general.
He was probably one of the best workers from what I understand.
You bet.
You guys also teamed with, actually you had some series with Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood.
Yes, we did.
What are your memories of that?
It was great because them guys, they became a really good team. And then of course they were, you know, wrestling myself and Ray Stevens, you know, we were the guys that was there to really do some damage to anybody, you know, and we loved it.
Now, you also, I guess, worked with Gene Anderson, who was there at the time.
Right.
What was he like?
He was great. He was a ringmaster. You bet.
How much of an emphasis back then was placed on work rate at this time?
Meaning as?
Meaning like going out there and having a good match and not going through the motions. I mean, was it pretty much important to you guys to go out there and have a good match?
Oh, yes. I mean, to me, you know, that's the only way to go. You know, I mean, you got to go out there and have a good time. You got to feel good and knowing what you're doing and, you know, enjoying yourself.
Did holding titles back then mean anything to you, or did you just...
It was just like another trophy that you got to put away, brother. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Did anyone ever refuse to put you over back in those days, or no? Did you have any problems with anybody?
No, I don't think so, brother. Not at all.
Okay. Yeah. How did it come about that you left that territory and went over to Georgia?
Well, you know, it's, there's times that, you know, promoters want different guys to come, you know, and they'll be talking to the promoters back and forth and see when they can release this guy at this time and stuff like that, you know.
Right. Now, when you went to Georgia, I believe Ole Anderson was booking at the time, right?
Yes.
What was Ole Anderson like as a booker?
It was pretty tough, you know, with situations and stuff. But other than that, he's a good guy to work with.
A lot of people said he was pretty hard, and
Yeah.
he had it was, I don't know. People say he's an asshole and stuff. I'm not. You know, that's what I heard. Memories of teaming with Terry Gordy.
It was great. Terry was a really good kid, you know, and it was really fantastic to team up with him. You know, we always got along good and always had fun in the ring and outside the ring, you know.
Right. Now, you guys also had some great matches with Michael Hayes and Kevin Von Erich.
Oh yes.
What are your memories of that stuff?
It's lovely. Sometimes you just look back at these old tapes and, you know, you have good memories and good feelings about these guys, you know.
And Ted DiBiase.
Oh yes.
What are your memories and thoughts on Ted?
That's fantastic too, brother. They're all great.
Tommy Rich.
Yes.
Now, I believe at the time you went over to work for All Japan. Baba. What was that like? What was that experience like going to? Was this your first time going to Japan?
Right. That was my first time when I first went to Japan. It was great because you know, you get to see, you know, the different countries, you know, and the different cultures, and I loved it. And every time I went there, it was like a vacation for me, you know, and I loved it very much.
How hard was it changing from the American style to the Japanese style?
It was okay. You know, you get to wrestle the Japanese, you know, every time. It's American against the Japanese, so it was pretty hard, you know. They're kind of stiff, you know, they're hard, but that's the way it goes. You know?
Right. Was the travel schedule harder in Japan than it was here? Or
No, they treated us like kings over there.
you got to do the buses and stuff like that?
Yes, it was nice.
What were your initial thoughts of Japan when you first got there? What did you think?
You know, I always love history, you know, so every time when we go there, you know, you go to places where history's been, you know, created during, you know, the olden days, the war times and everything, but I loved it, you know, and people were great there.
What are your memories of Giant Baba?
He was a good man, a very good man. He was a very good man. He was one, was one of a kind of a giant, a Japanese giant, and he was very good to us.
Memories of working with Jumbo Tsuruta.
Oh, fantastic. He's one of the greatest Japanese wrestlers there that ever came along.
Who was over in Japan? Who was your favorite guy that you like to work with over there?
Jumbo Tsuruta was a good guy to work with.
And you had some great matches with Terry and Dory, the Funks.
Oh, yes.
What are your memories of some of those matches?
Them two brothers, they're the best. They're so much fun, and they always work hard, and I love that.
Bruiser Brody. What are your memories of Bruiser Brody?
He was my tag team partner. He was a good guy, big man, and all business, and if he didn't like something, he wouldn't do it. So
right.
That's the way Bruiser is.
You also traveled with him as well, I believe, over there, right?
Yes.
Do you consider him a mentor at all, or was?
He was okay with me, brother. I mean, everybody's got their own thing, but he was a pretty nice guy to me. We got along well and everything.
What are your thoughts on Bruiser Brody's death?
Oh gosh, that's very sad. Very sad.
Why did both of you guys, you and Bruiser, jump over to Inoki? Why did you leave All Japan and go over to New Japan?
I guess it's business. It's all business.
How did that work out? How did that come about?
It came out okay for a couple of years, and then we had to move back again.
Right. What are the differences between All Japan and New Japan?
There's no difference, just the names,
Right.
The wrestling is the same,
Just different companies.
That's it.
What are your memories of Antonio Inoki? And what was he like? How would you compare him to Baba?
Well, there's a big difference between the two guys. When Inoki came in, Baba was, already there, so then I guess as it goes along, they finally went into split up there. Inoki one side and Baba one side. So.
Right. How would you compare them as promoters?
I don't know. It worked out pretty good for me.
Right.
It worked out good. I got along good with them both.
Memories of working with Tatsumi Fujinami.
Tatsumi, he was a good guy. Very nice guy to work with. Work hard.
Now, I believe from there you went over to the WWF at the time, and I think you came in. Now, how did Vince Sr. feel about your Japan deal? I mean, did he want you strictly to come back and work in the States and not go over to Japan?
Yes, he did. He did.
What was he like, Vince Sr.?
He was the best. He was the best promoter there was.
What year was this when you first went over to the WWF? Do you remember?
I believe it probably was right in the 80s. Right around there.
What are your early memories of Vince Jr., Vince McMahon, today?
Vince today, he's doing okay. I get along good with him. I don't have any heat with him at all. So I think he's doing very well for himself.
Now, how would you compare Vince Sr. to Jr.? How different are they?
Really, when you speak words, there's really no comparison. Father is a father and a son is a son. And to me, he was a great guy. When he said something to you, that was it. It was going to be done. Vince, well, that's a different story. He tells you something and then it doesn't happen, I mean, that's the difference.
Right. Do you have any, instances that you want to talk about? Like, any examples?
Everything's all good.
Okay.
Yeah. It's all good, brother.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Memories of working Captain Lou Albano. You guys, he managed you.
He was a great manager. I mean, we got along great together, and he was fantastic.
What are your memories of Lou outside the ring?
Oh, he's great. So much fun, brother. So much fun.
A lot of people say, we did an interview with Lou Albano and he and Don Morocco, and they both recalled Lou showing up for TV drunk all the time and getting fired one week and brought back.
Yeah, that was his thing them days. He's always got to have his big gallon of vodka there, Oh, yeah.
Don Morocco was telling us when they did the TV interviews at ringside with Vince that they'd have cups of water and Morocco would switch the water with vodka.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's always having fun there,
Right. Everyone's ribbing each other.
Yeah.
Do you remember attacking Gary Capetta, the ring announcer? when you first came in as a heel?
Oh yeah, that guy picked on him because he was perfect.
All right.
You know, he's always wearing flowers, you know. And I always come over there and take them flowers and just eat it, you know, and then blow it back at him, you know. And it was a lot of fun, brother. I enjoyed that.
Was anyone apprehensive about taking your Superfly leap? Was anybody nervous about taking that from you?
A lot of people were, you know, they were scared, and I don't blame them, you know.
How would you calm them down? What would you?
You just have to tell them to have trust.
Right.
Have faith and trust, you know.
Right. Memories of your series of matches with Pedro Morales.
Those were good. Those were very good. Now, that was some good matches there, brother. Really hard, you know. Pedro was a great guy to work with, and, you know, everything just was great, man. Everything worked out fantastic for us.
How much of a ribber back then was Mr. Fuji?
Mr. Fuji, he was the king of the ribbers. He always ribs, and, you know, I mean, just constantly going. He never stops.
Right. Also from Pedro Morales, you worked there, I guess, with Bob Acklin.
Oh yeah, Bobby. He's a great man. He, you know, he's from his backgrounds, you know, from college and everything. You know, he's a great man.
Was there any consideration around that period of time putting the belt on you?
Not at all, brother. Not at all. If it was meant to be, meant to be.
Right, right. Now, what are your memories of your most famous cage match? Well, besides Don Morocco, but with Bob Acklin, you had a great cage match with him as well.
Oh yeah, I had great cage matches with both of them guys. You know, I mean, I loved it, brother. I loved it. That was one of my most main highlights, is wrestling in the cage with them guys.
That was a great match, especially the one with Bob Acklin. So.
Yeah, thank you.
Was there any? Actually, were you surprised are you surprised at how it was held up over time, the cage match, as like everyone still talks about it today?
Yeah, I like it, brother. I like to hear it. You know, you can always tell that the fan still loves that one. You know, and yes, sir, brother, I love it.
Whose idea was it for you to do the big splash off the top and then to miss?
That's the Superfly, brother.
Right.
That's me.
Memories of Andre the Giant.
Oh yeah, now that's one giant that I ever seen that was a kind-hearted man for a big man. You know, he was a great guy. Great guy.
You guys did a lot of six-man tags, I believe, in that era too. It was
yes, we
you,
did.
Andre, and maybe Rocky Johnson.
Yes.
You probably worked with Samoans, I believe, and
Right.
Morocco.
You bet.
What are your memories of some of those matches?
Those were the great ones. They were great ones.
How crazy was drug use around the time in wrestling?
Brother, the drugs were everywhere. You know, everybody was doing their own thing, man. But that's the way it goes in this world.
Right. What are your views on drug use in wrestling?
I don't know, man.
Okay. How was the transition made from Junior to take over the business, and did it affect you when he took over?
It kind of a little bit, you know, because there were plans, big plans, you know, until when the old man passed away, then everything sort of changed for me, you know. And that's how it goes, brother.
How was the decision made to turn you babyface?
The people.
Right.
The people knew it, that they said, come on, Jimmy, we know that you're a good guy, you know. We've seen you around in different territories, so why do you have to come here and be a bad guy?
Let's see. Memories of your series with Ray Stevens. First, before you did the matches with Ray, you guys did the big angle on Buddy Rogers' corner, where Lou Albano came out and they did the big interview with Buddy Rogers, and Buddy Rogers told you that Lou Albano was ripping you off and stuff like that.
Right.
What are your memories of that? 'Cause that was
It was great. It was a great build-up, you know, to separate us and switch me to the good guy and end up meeting, you know, a good manager instead of a bad manager anymore. It was great because it was like adding on a little spice here and a little spice there, you know, different managers. It worked out really good for me, and of course, you know, the wonderful people, you know, they're the best. That's what makes the whole thing.
What are your memories of the angle they did with Ray Stevens and Albano, where he pile drove you on the floor?
Oh, it was terrific. It worked out so well.
I think that was like the only time I ever cried in wrestling. I really cried when I was a little kid. Let's see. Memories of the angle with Don Morocco, where he spit on you and then you leaped over the top rope.
Yeah, working with Don was that was one of my great matches with Don, and you bet, brother, I loved it.
What was he like outside the ring?
He was a super guy, super guy.
Was there any consideration back then to put the IC title on you because he had the belt at the time, and or were you so over that you didn't need a title?
No, not at all, brother. The titles of the people, brother. They were the champions.
Right. Memories of your cage match with Don Morocco.
Sometimes you dream about them matches, brother, especially the cage match. Yeah, Don, we would get in there and I'll give him goosebumps. You know, he'll get goosebumps like, you know, here's a couple of wild animals that's inside this cage and now they're going to cut it loose, you know. And that's the feeling we had. It's like, go in there and just let it go, man.
Right.
Yeah.
What is your favorite match with Don? Would it be the cage match, or
Yes.
you guys? I think.
Oh yeah, we had a lot of good matches, but I think the cage match was one of the greatest.
You guys did some strap matches too, I believe, right?
Oh yeah, you bet.
The most famous angle that I think you are ever involved in would be with Roddy Piper
Yes.
and the coconuts.
Yeah, you got it. No, nobody forgets the coconut,
Right.
right?
What are your memories of that incredible angle? Probably one of the
Oh.
best of all time.
To me, when we worked that angle on TV there with the coconut, the bananas, and the whole works, you know, that's the Superfly's whole story right there. You know, that's the plan, was to build up to that, and it was nice.
Did you realize that it was going to put you over like huge?
Well,
It-
you know, being that I was from the island, and here's a guy, really cocky guy, you know, and I thought it would work out perfect. Having him to do that, it really worked out great.
What are your memories of Roddy Piper?
Piper is a good guy. He's Piper's for Piper,
Right.
you know, and
lot of
that's
good
what it's all about. Yeah.
What about Bob Orton? What was he like outside the ring?
Bob Odin, he's a good guy. He was a fantastic guy.
Now, after you guys did that angle, how did things change for you?
With Piper,
Yeah.
or who are you talking about?
Basically, like for you in the WF as in the company, how did things change?
Things changed when, you know, when the old man died, and you know, Vince Jr. took over, and that's when everything changed.
Right.
Because what the father had in plan in mind, the son didn't follow up.
What did he have in plan?
Well, you know, there was big things that was going to happen. You know, like, you know, becoming the world, you know, champion, or you know, whatever.
Right.
The build up to this whole thing, and
They wanted to put the belt on you.
Yeah.
Senior wanted to put the belt on you, and Junior
Right.
didn't want to.
exactly.
Were you for the decision to bring Tonga Kid in as your cousin? I mean, did you want to do that? Or?
No, not really, because I was down in the Middle East one time there, and so they had to get somebody to work with Piper while I was gone, you know, and so then when I came back, then that's what they did, is they teamed us up, and that's how it went.
Did it make you angry that you were not involved in the original WrestleMania?
No, not at all, because if they wanted me, they'll call me, you know, but
Right.
I was happy to, you know, to be part of it anyway.
How did you and Bruiser Brody? What happened in I believe it was 1985 for the IWGP Tag Tournaments? You and Brody didn't show up or something.
Yeah, there was a misunderstanding there, and you know, Brody did just disagree with it and stuff, and so we just had to make another move, bro.
Were you guys blacklisted at the time in Japan?
Well, we what?
Blacklisted, where you weren't able to work for the promotions?
Oh no, not at all.
Okay. Memories of Hulk Hogan.
Hulky's for Hulky too, you know. He's all for himself, but I got along good with him. Got along great.
Would you say he was the locker room leader at all, or was he pretty much, you know?
Probably after when I left, and he became the locker room leader, you know. But when the Superfly was around, there's only one leader there, bro.
Why was the team of you and Ricky Steamboat never really pushed hard in the WWF?
I don't think they really wanted us to be teamed up too long, you know, because they wanted to match guys up and stuff like that. And For myself, I always wanted to be alone anyway, you know?
Right, right. Now, a lot of people, I don't know if you want to talk about it or you don't want to talk about it. I don't know what year it was, the George Washington Motor Lodge incident. What happened with that? It was a big thing that, I believe it was one of the times you left the WF for a couple months.
Mm.
We don't have to talk about it if you don't want to.
Yeah.
All right. What led you leaving to the WF and going over to AWA?
I guess, you know, probably, you know, when I was just leaving out of the WWF, then I went, you know, to them guys, you know, just moving around because I was just having a little problem with Vince there at the moment. But, you know, there's nothing real heavy or anything, but it was all good, brother.
What are your thoughts of working for Vern Gagne, and what was he like?
Oh, he was great. He was a good guy. Nice guy to work with.
Now, when you first came in, you did the angle with our Colonel De Beers, where he pile drove you on the cement.
Right. First, he pushed me off.
Right.
You know, and I landed on that concrete floor. Well, them days, they didn't have mats around the ring, you know, and you gotta be very careful.
Did it bother you at all that it was kind of a racist angle?
No, not at all.
It was good for it
Not
was
at
money.
all. Yeah, it was okay, brother. It didn't matter what he was calling me or whatever, you know.
Right. Let's see. Memories of Wrestle Rock.
Those were good memories too, brother.
That was a big cage match, I believe, right?
Oh yes.
I think was Bruce Brody in that one? I don't remember.
I forgot. In the dome.
Well, I think he was.
Yes, he was in
Yeah.
that one.
It was
too.
yeah. Memories of working for I guess Lars Anderson in Hawaii.
Oh yeah. It was a good guy. Nice place. You were home in Hawaii, you know. I mean, anybody that's promoting in Hawaii, brother, it's okay with me.
You also worked with Jerry Lawler in Hawaii.
Yes, I did.
What was he like?
He's super.
Was that? God.
He's an old school, you know.
Do you remember Rocky Maivia as a kid when you were in the WF, traveling
Uh,
with his father, Rocky Johnson?
Yes, you bet.
At all? What was he
Oh, yeah,
like?
I know the grandfather too. Yeah, Peter Maivia.
Maivia.
You bet.
How did you wind back in the World Wrestling Federation? You came back.
Vince called me back. He said, "Come on back, brother. We need you." I said, "Okay."
Did it ever bother you that you were never really pushed to the top again? They kept you mid card.
Well, that was the promise, you know. That's the promise that they were supposed to bring me back and say we can put you right up there, you know.
Let me just pause this real quick. Okay, we were talking about when you came back to the WF, and I asked if it bothered you that Vince never really pushed you.
You know, it was so-so, brother, you know. When they tell you, this is what I was talking about earlier. When the old man tells you something, it's done. But when he tells you something, it doesn't work.
Right.
But yes, you know, I felt kind of bad about it, but I just hung in there anyway to, you know, continue on what I had to do.
How different was the WF this time around than it was the first time you were there?
Things didn't go according to when a person says something. That's the difference.
Right.
You know?
Did you realize that WF was going to be on the level that it was? I mean, did you think it was going to get as big as it did
Oh yes.
when Vince bought all the territories?
Oh yes, brother. You bet.
What did you think about when Vince was buying everybody out? When he first did the transition and he brought Hogan in '84, did you realize that it was going to be to the level it was?
Yeah. You bet.
Did you think it was cool or good
Oh
for
yeah.
Vince
Oh yeah.
business?
It was great. It was great.
What are your memories of your matches with the Honky Tonk Man?
Oh, Honky. He's one of the great old schools, brother. He was a lot of fun. I mean, we were having some good times together, in the ring and outside the ring. You know, it's wonderful, brother.
What was he like outside the ring?
Oh, fantastic, fantastic.
You also had a series of matches with The Undertaker.
Oh yeah, he's another big boy. He's only one thing with him. He's taller than I am,
Right.
but he's a super guy, brother. Nice-hearted guy.
Was there any talk of doing another feud with you and Piper again? Ever?
I don't know, brother. It would be nice
That'd
if
be-
he can still handle it. Oh yeah.
You also had some matches with Kurt Hennig.
Yes.
What was Kurt like?
Kurt was, he was a good boy. Very good boy.
And also you worked with Rick Rude, I believe, as well.
Yes. All boys from Minneapolis. Great kids.
They kind of altered your character a little bit when they had you doing, they made you a little bit less serious. You did the howling noises and stuff and the barking. Did that bother you at all?
No.
No.
Not at all.
Were you upset at this point in time when Vince basically had you doing jobs and stuff, or was it all business?
It's all business, brother. You can't be glory hound about anything. It's business, you know.
Right.
A lot of people in the wrestling business today is like that, but you can't do that. You know, it's yeah.
You just gotta put in your time and
You bet.
do what's
brother.
asked.
You bet.
What was your relationship this time with Vince? Was it okay, or
Oh yeah, everything's okay, brother.
Shawn Michaels? What was he like outside the ring?
He's fantastic. He's a good guy.
You also worked with Scott Hall.
Yes.
What was he like?
Oh, he's a great guy too, brother.
What's he like outside the ring?
Oh,
Partier?
he's a partier. Yes, loves to party.
What about Kevin Nash?
Kevin, same thing.
Did you see the clique of Shawn, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall? Were they running the locker room? A lot of people said that they had a lot of power back around this time.
To be very honest with you, brothers, yeah, that could be possible. Could be.
What are your memories of working with Brian Christopher? I believe he came in, Jerry Lawler's son, for a match with you at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a little green at the time, but it was okay, brother.
I think that was his debut, actually. They brought him in to work with you.
Right.
How was your body holding up around this time?
Pretty good.
Good.
You bet. Still training, still working hard. Ready to kick again, brother.
Were you respected in the locker room, or did any of the older guys, like the new guys like Shawn, Kevin, and Scott, say?
It was nice, respectable, you know, just to see them and see how they act with you and everything, you know.
What led you to leaving the WWF?
I was just kind of didn't disagree with some things that, you know, that he wanted me to do and stuff, and so I just told him, I said, listen, brother, I gotta go.
Right. There was no hard feelings.
Right, no hard feelings, you know, and I said, if there's another opening for something else, I said, you got the number, bro.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Do you think your last run in the WWF might have tarnished your legacy at all, or?
I don't think so, brother.
Memories of working for ECW, how did that come about?
ECW, well, actually, me and Don actually started them guys off, you know.
Right. Terry Funk,
Yeah,
Don Rocco,
right.
you.
Terry
Paulie.
Funk and them all came in later, you know.
Right.
but-
Eddie Gilbert, too. He was booking at the time.
Exactly.
What are your memories of Todd Gordon?
Yeah, he was a character. He was a character himself, you know.
Right.
Yeah, it's too bad that you know, them guys kicked him out of there, you know.
What about Eddie Gilbert? What was he like outside the ring?
Oh, he was a party guy, brother. Oh yes,
A lot of people say he had a great mind for the business.
yes, he did.
Then you also worked here with Don Morocco. You guys wrestled a couple times here in ECW. How different was that working for ECW than working with him in the World Wrestling Federation?
It's no difference. No difference, brother. We still went out there and worked hard. It didn't, you know, it didn't if there was 5 people or 10 people or the garden. It don't matter, brother. We'll do the same thing, you know.
Now, you were the very first ECW World Champion. I don't think you... I mean, a lot of people might not know that. Are you surprised how far ECW went?
Yes, and I was very proud of that. Yeah.
You also worked with Terry Funk. What was Terry like? And you worked with him in ECW.
It was great because we always worked, you know, years before, you know, like in Japan and all around the country, Texas, and meeting him again, wrestling in the ring again was fantastic.
And then Tommy Dreamer, you had some series of matches with Tommy Dreamer.
Oh, yeah.
You basically are responsible for probably making Tommy Dreamer what he is today when you
Yeah.
allowed him to kick out of the splash.
Well, he didn't actually kick out, you
Right.
know. I was pretty lucky.
Was it hard for you to do that with Tommy, or was it basically you were
No.
passing the torch?
Oh, yeah. You know, you gotta teach them along as you go along, you know.
Right. Now you worked with Paul Heyman just for a little bit, a short time. What was Paul Heyman like?
It was great, brother. I enjoyed them all, you know.
Right.
I love to work with all these guys.
You also worked for the UWF promotion run by Herb Abrams out of New York and stuff. What was Herb Abrams like?
He's a good guy.
Right.
I get along good with them, brother. You know, as long as they taking care of business, I'm there, bro.
Right, right. You also worked for one of his big shows, I believe, with Cactus Jack, Mick Foley.
You're right.
He had that one match, I believe it was in Vegas.
Yeah, exactly.
What are your memories of that match with Cactus?
Oh, it was great, brother, because here's a guy that, you know, always looks up to you, you know, and he was like nervous at the time, and it was great. For me, it was great because, man, here's a kid that watched me all these years, and now we finally wrestling each other. What a treat for both of us, you know. It was fantastic. Well, I wish I could have worked with him every night.
Did you ever see the video where he jumped off his roof imitating you?
Yeah, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
That's super. That's what you call Superman. Oh, yeah.
Now, how did the whole Legends of the Wrestling pay-per-view come about? Where you were involved with that one?
Which one is that?
The Legends pay-per-view they just did recently?
Last year.
Of last year?
Um,
I think you might have worked with Bob Orton on that show. Was that true? I think it was Bob Orton.
was it Bob?
I think so.
Oh.
Sure. That's it.
How were you approached about working for WCW?
They gave me a call one time and said, listen, we're having a cage match that we want to have, and we'd like to have you on it. And I said, okay.
And you worked the match with Jeff Jarrett, I believe.
Yeah.
Now, did you think by going over to WCW that you might have been betraying your loyalty to Vince?
No, I don't think so.
Right.
Not at all. If that's the way he feels, well, I'm sorry, brother, but, you know, we got to take care of business.
What was Vince Russo like? Vince Russo was the guy who was running WCW at the time.
He was a WWF
Right.
before, and I met him there.
Right.
And then met him again when I went to WCW, so we didn't really get to say much. Only met him that one night there, and that was the end of it.
Right. Were you ever approached about appearing maybe at the last WrestleMania? They brought in all those guys, the legends, for the big battle royal they just did at WrestleMania. Did anybody approach you?
No, not at all.
No. Thoughts on, I guess right now the WF, just they bought WCW. What are your thoughts on Vince McMahon owning wrestling right now?
Well, Vince ain't gonna let anybody else go over him, so he's gonna try to take everything he can, you know.
Do you think it's bad for the business?
Bad for some guys, you know, because everybody was hoping that, you know, they can get to go and wrestle in this, you know, different promotion and stuff. But yeah, it hurts a lot of guys. It's bad.
Do you feel like a lot of the guys are not going to have negotiating power anymore as well?
I think so. It's bad.
Do you like working the indies? The indies?
I love it. I love it. Because this way you get to meet a lot of fans that they don't have the opportunity to see you, you know, and you go into these small little towns and stuff, and it's great. It works out perfect for me.
What is the story behind your relationship with a Metal Maniac?
Who's the Metal Maniac? He's okay. He used to take care of my business for me and stuff like that, and you know, so you have to continue on, and I have to keep moving. So
Right. Basically, he'd book you to shows and stuff like that at
right,
work.
yeah.
What is your worst memory of the independent scene? Like your worst memory?
Worst? I don't know if there's any worst.
All right.
To me, it's all good to me.
Do you feel that you could still draw today if you went back to a major promotion?
You bet, brother. You
Right.
bet.
Hello.
Hi.
Rate yourself as a worker on a scale from 1 to 10. Like, rate yourself.
Brother, you know it's only one, brother. There, it's it.
No, 10's the best.
10?
So you're a 10.
Well, I'm looking at number 1.
What is the best rib that you've ever seen?
The best rib?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. I don't know. From 1 to 10, it's hard to pick the good ones out.
Anything by Mr. Fuji or?
Oh, there was a time that I was reading a magazine. You know, I had the magazine like this, and all of a sudden I didn't even see Fuji because I had the magazine way open, like. But you know, I kind of knew it anyway. So, comes over, then he lights it. So we all sitting around, we all, you know, doing interviews at the time, and Vince, he's on the microphone doing interviews and stuff like that. The Giant, he was playing cards with Alan Skolin, you
Right.
know? So Fuji lights up this thing, and I'm, you know, reading this newspaper, and all of a sudden, they're all watching me now. Because they're watching the rib, you know, so I'm working it with them too. So the thing lights up, and all of a sudden, I see this big old flame, and I took this bump backwards.
Right.
And the Giant, he fell off his chair, and he laughed so hard, he broke his chair, you know. I mean, everybody was just dying laughing. Vince had to say, cut, cut. He was cracking up. Everybody was going crazy. That was the best. Yeah.
What, any good road stories as far as traveling?
There's a lot of them, you know, a lot of good fun on the road, you know. far as traveling, to me, fun to me is like, you know, when you travel and you're looking at all these different cities and towns and, you know, meeting all different people, that's exciting to me.
What was your favorite city to work in?
The Big Apple, brother.
Madison Square
Madison
Garden?
Square Garden, that was a trip for me.
What was your favorite territory that you worked for?
I loved Portland, Oregon. Yeah, it was a beautiful town, you know, beautiful city and everything.
I guess, who was your favorite opponent that you like to work with? Who was the guy that you like to wrestle a lot?
To me, it was Don Morocco.
Don Morocco?
Yeah.
What is your proudest accomplishment?
Proudest comp. I don't know. I would just say everything, brother.
Right.
Everything.
I guess, who was the most creative booker that you ever worked for?
Creative?
Yeah.
I believe was Vince McMahon Sr.
I guess, who was your least favorite opponent that you had to wrestle? Somebody that you didn't want to work with.
Really, I never had that feeling.
Right.
I just loved everybody, brother.
What would you like to be remembered for?
To let the people know that I love them so much.
Doug, you have some questions?
Vince McMahon said you could be on WrestleMania. Who do you think your best opponent today could be?
Anybody, don't matter.
Anybody? How do you feel like how wrestling's open now? Before how everybody protected the business. Are you surprised at the openness of the wrestling business?
No, I'm really not surprised about it. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things that people doesn't even know about the wrestling business. They think they do, but they don't. You have to get in there in order to know what it's all about.
What do you feel about the internet and all that? How everybody's like plays Booker and
To me, I think it's great. It's great. I love it.
are you since you were like really the first guy to come off the top rope and with the high flying, are you surprised how wrestling has developed with the high flying, even like on independence and
Oh,
everything?
yeah. You bet. I mean, I love it because when everybody does that, there's only one man they think about when that happens. And to me, I love every bit of it. You bet.
How do your knees hold up?
They're great, brother.
Right.
I'm ready to take you on right now, anytime.
Not me. Were you involved in going back to All Japan when Stan Hansen jumped? I heard there was a secret hotel meeting with you, Brody, and Hansen.
Right.
What happened with that?
Well, that was the setup where they wanted me to, instead of being on their side, they wanted me to switch to be the good guy and going against them, yeah.
Was there like a lot of heat with Baba and Inoki when Hansen jumped? Did you get any responsibility for that, or
No.
no?
No, it was all business.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess, in closing, is there anything you want to say to your fans out there?
Yes. I just want to let them know that the Superfly is always going to be around and always going to love you forever because your people are the greatest and the best there is. And that's mean I love you. It's the only way I can tell you that I love you because I can't write to you people around the world. So all I want to let you know is thank you for all the wonderful feelings and thoughts and good things in mind. All I want to tell you is that I love you people very much and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you, brothers.
That was easy.
Lovely. That was fun. Aloha.
Smile, Dad.